Well, howdy gang, it's Sunday the 13th of May 2018 and this is your EV News Daily. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. A very warm welcome from London in the UK, and here is today's news about electric cars and the future of transport. My name is Martin Lee and I go through every EV article online so you don't have to. Coming up on the show today, we'll talk about the first plug-in from Subaru and Elon Musk wanting to take you deep underground. But first of all, there's no other company in the world I can think of right now where an engineer takes a holiday and it makes massive news on the internet. Okay, so firstly, he's a bit more than just an engineer. He's the senior VP at Tesla, and it's Doug Field, and he's taking a little more than a holiday. But still, you get my drift. Well, Engadget was just one of those websites which went a little bit crazy today over Doug Field taking a sabbatical from Tesla. So he was in charge of the Model 3 production line until recently, when Elon Musk came back to take more of a hands-on role and Doug moved into doing some other things. Now, Doug Field came from Apple in 2013 and he rose through the ranks at Tesla pretty quickly due to other people leaving, other people taking sabbaticals, moving on to different things, and he would be a senior VP pretty quickly. So clearly, not that I know a huge amount about this guy, but he was leading the Tesla Model 3 production line until recently, and he rose through the ranks very quickly after coming from Apple. So clearly, very, very smart, very switched on, very good at his job. Now, the Wall Street Journal, to put some perspective onto this, described the leave as a 6-week sabbatical. That's not the end of the world. That's going to go by pretty quickly. And one of the previous heads of Tesla production, and I forget his name now, but if I dug out the article, I'm sure I could find it, took a break as well after an intense period of production. I think it was the Model X. He took a break and he came back, and now he is leading the Tesla Semi project. And again, apologies for forgetting his name, but I was just thinking about it as I was talking to you off the top of my head. So maybe that's what Doug will do. Maybe he'll take 6 weeks off, he'll come back and he'll start in the process of the Model Y production and the design phase of that. They've got to acquire more land, there's got to be a new factory. They've confirmed it won't be Fremont the Model Y is made at. And yet, what other company, coming back to where I started with this, what other company in the world can have one of their VPs taking a 6-week holiday? And it almost breaks the internet. It just goes to show how Tesla have got kind of not only the media outlets totally whipped up into a frenzy, but the smallest bit of news makes front page news. Well, one of the original EV manufacturers that's been getting on with things and selling a lot of cars is Nissan. Of course, they have sold hundreds of thousands of Nissan Leaf, and the most recent version has had some up and down months most recently in the sales charts, but they're starting to give out some long-term leases to media organisations like CNET. They're one of those. Now, CNET has got a Nissan Leaf for 12 months as a long-range test. So it's one of those articles, one of those things I'm going to come back to and just see how they talk about it, because they're not, an EV website, CNET being one of those big mainstream tech sites. And so we'll see what they say about it. They're already saying lovely things about ProPilot Assist, Nissan's comprehensive safety package that combines active cruise and lane keep assist. Really, we have to be very careful not to call it autopilot. Nissan themselves say it's not autopilot, it's simply driving assist, and that's smart to get that out there and make sure that people really understand what it can and can't do. It's a $650 option on the Nissan Leaf in North America. They've added in, by the way, $200 for splash guards and another $200 for floor mats and $885 for destination charge. So the final price, they say, of the car they were delivered was $38,115. Of course, before any federal or state rebates in New York, that would slice $9,500 off. So we will keep an eye on CNET and say what they think of driving an EV for a year. Well, it's been a week for Elon taking to Twitter to reply about different questions and things like that. He's normally pretty good, but he's been super busy this week, along with launching reusable rockets into space. Not only did he do that this week, successfully, by the way, but also had time to take to Twitter and answer questions about Tesla. And of course, we heard the one earlier this week about the Model 3 dual motor and performance versions. Answering that to Ryan from the Ride the Lightning Tesla podcast. And the other big question he answered was about the Roadster this week. Now, somebody from Turkey, and I'm probably going to say your name wrong, sir. It's either Isa or Isa Yeta, took to Twitter to ask Elon Musk about test driving the new Roadster, who he found himself in California from Turkey and said, how can I get inside one? And Elon replied, test drives towards the end of next year. By the way, planning to launch Tesla in Turkey later this year. Love your country, and we'll be there in person for the launch. He is so good at that kind of thing, and maybe for some people, not so good news. They can't test drive the Roadster until the end of next year. And it's funny because only a couple of days ago, Tesla released their video, their celebration really of the staff that make great products. It was really all about focusing, apart from some wild horses running past the factory, it was mostly about the staff, which was a lovely, lovely touch by Tesla. And it ended, by the way, with some shots of people in the passenger seat when they had the reveal of the Roadster, and a few people got to go in it, and that just made me just so envious of those that just got just a few minutes in the Roadster. And then, funnily enough, he talks test drives, but not for a while yet. Well, how do you fancy going deep underground? Maybe not with Elon, maybe it won't be a personal tour, but the Boring Company have said that they will start to offer free rides for the public in the next few months in the first tunnels they've been digging beneath LA. Well, I say LA. You see, the first tunnel they dug, they got permission to dig, was beneath SpaceX land, and that's actually in Hawthorne City, and the council gave them permission to do that, along with the provision that there would be no cars or people in the research tunnel. And now Elon Musk has said that the first Boring Company tunnel under LA is almost done. Pending final regulatory approvals, we'll be offering free rides to the public in a few months. So maybe he's talking about a different tunnel in LA, but by the sounds of it, he is talking about the original tunnel, and there's two. There is another tunnel they've been digging that is nearer LA, as far as I understand it, and the first one was not so long, actually, but the next tunnel they dug, I think, was 2 miles long, and so his plan, clearly, is to get some PR going for the Boring Company. And you never know, maybe that's to raise some finance or get people on board and get behind all those kind of things. You can see exactly why he would want to get people seeing how they can start to skip those traffic jams in Los Angeles. Well, the Jaguar I-Pace is going to be supporting the Formula E racing series with their own series later this year. And we're going to see the very first Jaguar I-Pace all decked out in the trim and also the specs that the race series are going to use next weekend at the 2018 BMW i Berlin E-Prix. And why do you think BMW feel about that? They've paid for the naming rights of the BMW i Berlin E-Prix. And yet, it's the series founder, Alejandro Agag, who is going to be driving this Jaguar I-Pace, and I dare say getting a ton of headlines and loads of publicities for the E-Trophy series. I'm sure BMW are utterly delighted that they chose to debut the Jaguar race car at the event they're sponsoring. And finally, there's always going to be winners and losers as cars electrify, and one of those ones that you have to admit are a little behind the curve, well, that would be Subaru, and they've just announced their first ever plug-in hybrid. It's going to be one of their best-selling cars, actually. It's called the Crosstrek, and it's interesting because Subaru, partly owned by Toyota, so they'll be using some Toyota tech to go in this plug-in hybrid. Of course, it will have all the Subaru bits inside it that Subaru fans love, like the flat 4 engine, and this is just a plug-in hybrid, by the way. Not too many of those around. The Kia Niro plug-in hybrid is going to be coming soon. No, that's already around, of course. The plug-in hybrid's already around. It's the full EV, I meant to say, that is coming soon. So right now you can have the Kia Niro, you can have the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid, but not too many of those kind of cars with an engine with a decent-sized battery that you can plug in overnight and do your Monday to Friday commute, which is 10, 20, 30 miles if you're working, and save your combustion engine for the weekend. Slim pickings in that market at the moment. Outlander by Mitsubishi does very well here, by the way, in Europe. Well, thank you for listening today. I'd love to spread the word about electric cars. If you can help me out, well, you and I can spread the word together, and you can share this podcast with somebody who might be interested. Every previous one, if you're interested in checking them out, is on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, also SoundCloud, iHeart Radio podcasts, and the blog at evnewsdaily.com. You can subscribe to get them first and free and automatically, and say hi on Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.